When you go against who that nation, you got to bring your hard hat.
What's good, people? It's your boy Merv, and this is an exciting edition of the Black and Gold Hour podcast, a podcast where we talk about the New Orleans Saints. And everybody just breathe in for me and breathe out. This is the first time in almost a month that we can kind of breathe a collective sigh of relief as the New Orleans Saints were able to get the victory 39-32 in the Superdome against Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. The New Orleans Saints showed some improvements on offense. Defensive playmakers were stepping up. We did see some lapses on defense, but we're going to cover that in today's quick recap. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We definitely want to grow the family and keep talking Saints football, man. I'm going to be bringing y'all all types of content. And I actually am planning on going to a game and showing y'all exclusive content of the New Orleans Saints and Arizona Cardinals game. But let's recap this game that just ended. The New Orleans Saints did get the victory against Seattle. It was a lot of things we didn't like, but let's jump into it. First things first, one thing that we did like, the New Orleans Saints offense running the football. They were doing their thing. Alvin Kamara came out with a mission today, and he always does damage against the Seattle Seahawks, and that continued this week. He was doing his thing in the receiving game and in the running game. Alvin Kamara, we're going to talk about him a lot in this episode, but Alvin Kamara did his thing early. New Orleans Saints were running the ball with Taysom Hill. Mark Ingram was looking good early. He kind of fell off in production as the game progressed, but the New Orleans Saints came in with a mission. To establish the run. Something we've been asking for I don't know, about the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the New Orleans Saints did have to let go of Latavius Murray. He signed with the Broncos this week, and a lot of us were mad, upset, because we know what Latavius Murray means. He's running the football and getting positive yards, so good to see the New Orleans Saints, regardless of who's playing, regardless of whose number's called, they're going to run the football, especially with Andy Dalton under center and him consistently getting confidence in the New Orleans Saints offense. But let's kind of keep going. One thing that I do want to note is my favorite thing about rookie receiver Chris Olave is he's always coming back to the football. Every time I see a pass thrown his way, whether it's an inaccurate pass or just the quarterback was rushed, he's always coming back to the football. That's a fundamental that a lot of players in the college and NFL level just forget. Sometimes you just see him standing there. It's easy. It's ready. The defense is ready to pounce on that and get that interception. Chris Olave, that's not happening because he's coming back to the football. And thank goodness we have Chris Olave because Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas were out with injuries, man. And it's just like this team is so talented. But the players aren't available, man. But I'm glad that Chris Olave was here and stepped up. But he actually got injured in the third quarter. And we'll go over that as we get into the third quarter notes. But as I get into the first quarter, one thing that I do want to mention is Adebo coming back from the ankle injury. He's still going through, I guess he's still getting his rhythm back. And you can see him a little slow on some plays, giving up some plays. But we also see him making plays at the same time. So it's a process. And I think by about week 7 or week 8, we're going to be good. Paulson Adebo is going to be exactly where we want him to be. So that's good news to hear. One player that I do want to know on the opposite side that's really not doing well in Who Dat Nation's eyes as well as the analyst's eyes is Deontay Hardy, all-pro kick returner. We know what Deontay Harris, what his name was before, but Deontay Hardy is just not the same player right now, man. He dropped the kickoff again, and the New Orleans Saints had problems again putting the ball on the ground, and it seemed like he went out and he got benched. That's what I thought initially, but then it turned out that he was dinged up. Now, we don't know what the ding was, but it looks like Deontay Harris got benched. Maybe that was Dennis Allen's first move of like, man, we see you lacking passion. We see you not making plays. We see you not being your same self. And man, maybe we just want to get your head right for this game so that you know for the rest of the season that we mean business and we need you to be who we know you to be, Deontay Hardy. So hopefully he bounces back and hopefully he's not dinged up too much if he really is dinged up. One thing that I do want to know is the New Orleans Saints use Taysom Hill this week. That is one of the best conversations of topic for me because I like to see Taysom Hill used, not as a starting quarterback, but I like to see him used in the running game and as a tight end. He was all over the field today. I think he played in every special teams, quarterback, rusher. He was doing everything. Taysom Hill was that do today and is the sole reason the New Orleans Saints were able to get the victory, alongside some great play from Cam Jordan and the New Orleans Saints defense as well. Pete Werner was doing his thing as well, and I want to say something about Pete Werner. As I wrap up the first quarter notes, Pete Werner is one of the best defensive players in the NFL right now. He's all over the field. He's great tackler. He's making great tackles. Every time he gets his hands on a offensive player, they're going down. And if not, he's holding them and allowing his teammates to catch up for game tackles. So that's one thing that I do want to note about the first quarter. Chris Olave, Pete Werner, and the New Orleans Saints rushing the ball were the highlights of that quarter for me. The defense kind of let Seattle get some rhythm early and then give up that 50-yard touchdown to DJ Metcalf. But ultimately, the defense was able to do their thing, and they won't on the field as much this week, which is another sigh of relief. So as we get into the second quarter, we start to see Taysom Hill take over. He gets the ball, and we expecting some run plays, and we do see some run plays at first, which ultimately leads to a touchdown to put the Saints up early. We haven't said that much. The Saints up. The Saints are in the lead. Not in the fourth quarter, not in the third quarter, but actually in the first half of games. The New Orleans Saints being up is something that we don't talk about often, and I don't think we've even talked about it this season at all. So it's something that we definitely want to keep seeing. Now, one thing that I do want to know is Alvin Kamara. Like I said earlier, Alvin Kamara looked fast. He looked dominant. He was doing his thing. And the New Orleans Saints were definitely benefiting from it. We haven't really seen AK have one of those AK type games in maybe half a season almost. And so it's like one of those times where I was excited off my seat, like AK is back. And with the rib injury, we wouldn't have known he was injured. He was running hard, especially in the second half. Now, one thing that I do want to say, AK put the ball on the ground again. New Orleans Saints were driving with a 2-minute drill, and it looks like the Saints would either go up by 3 or maybe even potentially double digits, but AK put the ball on the ground again, and the Seattle Seahawks were able to take advantage and actually score 7 points, putting them up 19-17 as we got into halftime, and it was just one of those frustrating moments. The Saints can't put the ball on the ground. Their offense is still finding their identity and rhythm, and they can't afford to give away offensive opportunities and giving it back to the other team's offense. That's just not something that we can do, and we have to get better at it. And it's just something that Dennis Allen is going to have to harp on this week in practice. I don't want to see none of that Sean McVay chewing gum on the sidelines thing. I want to see some fire. I want to see people bench if they're putting the ball on the ground. I don't care if you AK. I don't care who you are. I want to see the Saints hold on to the ball because they're only beating themselves. I also saw Nick Underhill on Twitter talk about the Saints don't have any more feet to shoot themselves in. So it's either going to be a liver or something. Like the New Orleans Saints continue to shoot themselves in the foot, and it's just something that we can't have happen, man. What would our record be without those turnovers? I mean, we have the Cincinnati Bengals coming up and Arizona Cardinals, which are very winnable games, but you can't win it in this league at all if you continue to give the ball away and be the most penalized team in the NFL. And we continue to see penalties by both teams, the Seahawks and the Saints. So things have to come together for the better. As we get into the third quarter, I want to talk about Chris Olave. The Saints were without Jarvis Landry and also without Michael Thomas. And it's like, man, this team is so talented, but they're never on the field. It's like Anthony Davis. He's so talented for the Lakers, but he's never in. He's playing half of the games of the season. He's not available. He's dressed in regular clothes during critical moments of the season. And it's like, man, we need our wide receivers to step up, and hopefully they're not too dinged up too much that'll have them out significant time, but we definitely want to see them on the field. But Chris Olave was holding it down. He was the curl routes, man. He's precise with it. He's quick, good hands, catches the ball with his hands, and he caught a touchdown that kind of reminded me of like the Lance Moore Super Bowl 2-point conversion, because as the receiver is catching the ball and falling, the defender is knocking it out. So it's almost like, is the ground causing the ball to shift, or is it the defender? And they initially ruled his catch in the end zone incomplete, but then, and he also fell on his head, but we'll cover that in a second. But as the game went on, a commercial break went by, I was like, that seems like a catch to me. And I just had the game on mute because I was talking to my dad, and I took it off mute. They was like, touchdown stand. So he did get that touchdown, but with that touchdown came a great consequence, because he went out with a concussion. Everything looked good as he was walking off, but with those concussions, the NFL is definitely trying to be more cautious, and he was out for the rest of the game. But the New Orleans Saints were able to hold it down. Pete Warner was stepping up again in the third quarter, showing flashes all over the field. Cam Jordan doing what all-pro Cam Jordan does, 109 sacks in his NFL career, which is second in the league currently behind Von Miller. So, I mean, Cam Jordan was doing his thing, and as we got into the fourth quarter, the game was kind of tight. It was really tight. It was 31-31. 32-31 with the Saints down going into the fourth quarter. I was like, man, not again, not another winnable game that the New Orleans Saints aren't able to take advantage of a team that they're more superior than. And we saw Taysom Hill do it again. He ran another rushing touchdown in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, he actually threw a touchdown pass to Adam Troutman. Now, Adam Troutman did drop a pass earlier in the game, but he was able to come back and put the Saints up 39. He was able to put the Saints back into a winning position, and then Taysom Hill brought it home at the end of the game with a 50-yard scamper. He was gone, and he protected the ball as he was going to the end zone, which is something that New Orleans Saints fans want to see more of. He was able to protect the ball. He felt the defender coming, looking at him, trying to scrape the ball away, trying to get that fumble late in the game, which would have changed the whole trajectory of the game. But Taysom Hill was able to bring it home and put the Saints up, and he was obviously this week's player of the game. Taysom Hill brought it home, and the New Orleans Saints were able to get the victory 39-32. Some highlights, Deontay Hardy, I mean, he's just not himself, and he's dinged up. We're definitely going to hear more about that later today or later in the week, what's going on with that. Pulse on the Debo. We just want to see him get back in rhythm. AK was doing his thing. We want to see this AK all season long, and we also seen a screen that actually worked. I mean, it seems like Alvin Kamara, that was like a 40 or 50-yard screen run that we haven't seen since the Drew Brees days. So I'm happy with what the Saints did this week as far as offensive improvements. Still a lot of work to do. Dennis Allen, you have a lot of work to do with cleaning up those penalties and getting the team more disciplined, because we still seen some goofy, just penalties that we don't need to see, because this team is so talented, and we're only one game behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just beat the Falcons. So we want to continue to improve. We have a couple of NFC games coming up. We do get a break in the AFC facing the Bengals next Sunday, but let's hope the New Orleans Saints can rebound and get better. But that's the quick recap. I'm probably off on some things, but I just took quick notes during the game. But you guys, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please remember to comment, because we're here to talk Saints football, man. It's been a good Sunday. We finally got that victory, and the Saints are 2-3 right now and have Cincinnati coming up in the Superdome. So we'll be back next Sunday. But remember, always remember this. I just finished my graduate program in school, man. I've been working so hard on it. It's been a long process, man, and I just want to encourage y'all, man. Anything that you're doing, no matter how long it takes, no matter what the beginning looks like, what the middle looks like, or what the end looks like, remember to keep pushing through. Remember to have that goal written down and in your mind, and you'll be there within no time, man. But that's today's episode of the Black and Gold Hour podcast. We got those Dallas and Rams fans that we watching those games, and we'll probably watch it as well. But go and enjoy this Sunday. Go enjoy time with your family. Stay safe. Be blessed. Peace.